to pull, how to glide, how to kick, how to strike, all these different things. Okay? And then when you perform those movement patterns, ultimately what you do is you actually use the muscles involved to elicit that response. So your muscles pull on your bones to generate indeed a movement to execute. Here's another thing to also consider. Muscles don't push, they only pull. So your muscles pulling on your bones, which is your levers, executes a pushing action. So for example, if I was pushing forward like this, as in a bench press or a wall press, that is because the pectoralis major here primarily is pulling on my humerus to allow me to push forward. This muscle contracts, pulls my arm forward in that shoulder horizontal adduction action. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So again, muscles only pull. On levers, they don't push. So a couple of things. Muscles don't push, they pull. And train movement patterns, not specific muscles. That is then how you integrate the concept of functionality within the context of a training program. Okay? I love a squat. But when you go out and do a squat, what we do says 4 sets of 10, please. Great. But in the context of functionality, how many times do you squat up and down in the same spot for 40 times in a row? Just saying. We do a deadlift. And here we have equal weights in hands, right? Yet when you come from Publix or whatever your shop and you've got unequal distribution of weight, doing a farmer's carry, or when you pick up something from the ground, you got something in one side, nothing in the other. And these are the type of movement patterns that essentially we need to practice to make them more functional in application to activities of daily living. So let's be, let's say, somewhat more intellectually on board with what really is functional.
Yeah. Let go of real science.
Okay, exactly. You know, it's okay to use the word, but is really what you're doing functional? Well, I'm doing a deadlift, Chris. Great. Did you get 35 on that side, 35 on that side? When was the last time you did an equal lift from the ground? Never. But if I do a suitcase deadlift, that's just loaded on one hand, or I got a heavier weight on this side and this side, you know, asymmetric training. What a phenomenal concept. Sergei Bubka, who you probably never heard of, was still is one of the best pole vaulters that ever lived. He broke multiple world records, and when he actually showed the world how he trained, they thought, well, it's a bit bizarre. No, it wasn't bizarre, it was clever. So when he did a squat, as an example, he would have a 45-pound plate on one side and nothing on the other. And his body has to control those mechanisms as he does a squat. But if you actually think about the demand of a pole vaulter, your body is loaded on one side all the way, so it makes sense. And to get all these other muscles firing that would not otherwise become engaged, it just makes much more sense.